So when we talk about NLP, Neuro Linguistic Programming, most people are quite happy that they understand that the neuro bit means it's to do with the brain and the nervous system. Linguistic obviously means it's to do with language, and the programming, well, that's about habits and about changing habits and so on. That's probably a story for another day. So when we talk about linguistic skills, I think a lot of people assume they know what that means. But if you come back to it and say, well, what are we actually talking about here? It's not just about the use of words. Well, it is about the use of words, but it's about precise and accurate use of words. You see, most people think they're good at communicating. If you go and ask all the people that you work with to rate themselves on a scale of 1 to 10 in terms of their communication skills, most people will give themselves an above average score. And the truth is, what they're really thinking about usually is their ability to express themselves. So lots of people are good at choosing the right words to adequately express the thought they have in their head. But what they're often not so good at is making sure that they choose the words that get the result they want in the people that they're listening to. So when we talk about linguistic skills, especially in the NLP context, what we're really talking about is being clear about the effect you want to have with the words that you use, and then choosing words that will generate that effect. Now, we don't always know exactly and precisely which words will generate the effect that we want, especially if we're talking to someone that we don't already know, or if we're talking to a whole group of people. So the next set of skills involved in that is not so much about what you say, it's about paying attention to the effect of what you say and noticing whether or not the words you used actually created the result that you wanted. So you may think you've chosen the words that really express your point of view, and then somebody asks you a question that clearly shows that they hadn't understood what you thought you'd said. And the question they ask is often a good indicator of what they think you just said. So if that sort of feedback is saying to you, maybe I haven't quite communicated what I was intending, then that's an indicator that the thing to do is to rephrase, to say the same thing in a different way. Sadly, what many of us do is we say the same thing in the same way because we're so certain that we've said it in the best way possible, that we've chosen exactly the right words to express the thought. But the thing is, if the person on the receiving end didn't actually receive your thought through the medium of those words, that really is an indicator that it's time to try something different. And sometimes we might have to say the same thing in 3 or 4 different ways before we actually get through to the person that we're speaking to, and we can feel confident that they really have understood what we wanted. So there's something there about being flexible enough to say the same thing in multiple ways, but also being patient enough and taking the responsibility, really, that says just because the person didn't understand what I'm saying doesn't mean they're stupid. It just means that I haven't yet found the right way to communicate what I'm saying. So those are very advanced linguistic skills, and not many people are very clear about the result of saying certain things to certain people. You may know that there are certain phrases that you just don't say to some people because they don't like them. You may realise that a manner of speaking is good for some people and not for others. But could you honestly say that you know the result you'll get if you put a sentence one way or a different way? Those are the sorts of skills that we mean when we talk about linguistic skills in NLP. And it's not for everyone, but for people who find this kind of thing interesting, there is a whole process that you can learn. Something just to practice with. Next time you write an email, just do what you would normally do, write the email, and then stop and look at it. And go through each sentence and say, is there a different way of saying that might get a slightly different result? There probably is. But then you need to say, right, well, what is the result that I really want? And if I'm going to get that result, is this the right thing to say? Is this the right way to say it? And then, having done that and sent the email, notice what response you get. Now, that's just one email. And it might take you quite a long time if you did it with one. But the more practice that you give this kind of thing, the easier it gets. So just do one a day and see what happens.